to understand where we are at. It is a period of difficulty. It will begin by banning these travelers from 5 countries. But yesterday, the news that ICE was already collecting people with actually green cards. Right? So the logic began by targeting criminals, quote, then targeting illegals, then now it's shifting to targeting green card holders that had minor legal issues in the past, and then there's a discussion about revoking citizenship in this country for individuals that have come. Again, if the goal is to make America white again, you need to use all the tools at your disposal to make it happen. Let's say the following. This will not come to pass. This will not come to pass. Why? Because those who are issuing and engaging in this logic don't understand that the country has shifted tremendously. And yes, there are some pain and suffering that people are going to face, but change is going to come and there is not going to be to their liking. And that was what I want you to understand, and that's where our role needs to be. So let me go to a few things that we need to undertake in the days and months ahead. So I don't take much of the time, so you could go back to your work. First, we have to have a comprehensive strategy. No longer we can afford of individuals just acting and thinking alone. We have to have a comprehensive strategy that have a multi-layered approach. One, you have to engage in the electoral process. Not because it's perfect, but it's actually is one of the domain of contestation. And I know that many people have different argument, but this is actually a part of necessity to engage, and especially as we come in the 2018-2020 elections. If you think that elections don't have an impact, just think of what Trump is underlaying right now. Second, the fight for Muslim rights should have a legal strategy. So we need to file as many lawsuits as possible. Similar to the civil rights movement, they had the electoral strategy, but also they had legal strategy. That's where you had a reversal of Brown versus Board of Education. And we need to challenge the travel ban as well as any issues that confront the community. You need to be individuals that are ready to take the legal fight to the courts. Not because it's ideal, but contesting the law is part of creating the alternative social imaginary in society. And I think there are many of our organizations that are beginning to take that role. Third, we need to develop a comprehensive media and educational strategy to change the social environment that operates. So again, the news, when it begins, often it begins with negative characterization of Muslims, even though we have some positive cases that requires for us a sustained media strategy and educational strategy. In doing so, it is not arguing that Muslims are good. It's not about that. It's not arguing about the 5 pillars of faith. It's actually arguing your right as a citizen to be good, bad, and ugly, or in between. You have to assert your right as a citizen, not as a perfect citizen, because there is no such thing as a perfect citizen. If you continue to make that argument, you're setting yourself up for failure because you're setting up yourself to be a perfect citizen, and that construct is not applied except to people's imagination. So, as a Muslim, you need to argue for your right as a citizen in the media and educational campaign. Right? Again, if you go up to Berkeley, there's people on Telegraph Avenue that are devil worshippers. People don't come around and ask them about their citizenship. They assume to be citizens and they actually could worship the devil in there, while we as a Muslims are being argued to prove that we're good people. That's essentially saying that your citizenship is unequal. We have to assert that in our educational campaign that we're equal citizens and have full rights. Fourth, this might be a little bit difficult for some people. We need to work on developing a sustained and proactive protest movement. Again, our protest movement often is reactionary rather than proactive, which includes also acts of civil disobedience when needed and possible. Political change does not take place by sitting and say, MashaAllah. I say MashaAllah, but after doing the actions and work. So protest movement is not only to go out after the fact, but actually to have a strategy of what you're trying to achieve and how to achieve it, and that has to be part of it. Fifth, Muslims and their allies in the US and across the world should make sure to initiate boycotts against businesses and individuals that are funding and supporting this type of politics. So make your pocket money actually speaks for your values. So if a business supports Trump and support these policies, you have to actually boycott it and inform them why you're boycotting. Civil rights movement did this. If you just, many of you possibly went and saw some of the movies about the civil rights movement, do you think that if they didn't boycott businesses, if they didn't boycott the bus, in Montgomery bus boycott, Martin Luther King actually stood and had boycotts of businesses that did not hire African Americans? So don't get this nostalgic aspects of history. People just stood up and then everything changed. People actually had sustained work, including boycotting businesses. And as a Muslim and our allies, you should not spend your money on businesses that continue to support this racialized, religious discrimination at this particular point in time. The last point is that we are a diverse community that have transnational links across the world. We have to actually assert that we have a human rights case and use our transnational links with people across the world to say that America building walls is unacceptable and it's closing the doors to businesses and relations with the Muslim world and other parts of the world, and we need to assert this. Now, you know the United States have won the rights to have the Soccer World Cup in 2026. There cannot be a World Cup in the United States if countries and travelers from other countries that want to come to participate in being fans for their own teams, national teams, can't come to the United States. So there's a contradiction in here. Again, I'm referencing because the World Cup is now being played in Russia, and 2026, the United States, Mexico, and Canada are supposed to be the host for the 2026. So America is saying that we want the World Cup, but we don't actually want people that support their national teams from those 5 countries. Whether they make it or not, the principle is set, and I think we need to use those relations in order to effect change. Change is possible, and what we need is to understand the strength and the power of our ability to make change in this country.